Once upon a time, a YouTuber named Gubs made a video, a ranking of the 20 fastest live-action speedsters. It's a good video, and I'd recommend it if I wasn't already certain that the few thousand people watching this video are amongst the millions that have watched that one. However, there's a few issues with that video, ones that couldn't be avoided and ones that maybe could have. The first is that, well, it's kind of outdated. Not their fault, the video is 6 years old at the time of this one coming out, and this video will someday be outdated too. But secondly, the video is kind of just Marvel and DC. There are a lot of speedsters in live action media outside of Marvel and DC, and we're going to take a look at them as well today. In this video, I have taken a look for the fastest live action feats that I could find and compiled them into a list of the 40 fastest speedsters in live action media. Now, I should make it clear that when I say speedster, I don't just mean a character that's treated as a fast runner like Flash or Quicksilver. Speedster is an informal term, and by definition just means someone who drives or moves very fast, so deal with it. We'll also not be including a few things. We're not including any vehicles unless they themselves are sentient, which won't play a huge part in this ranking. So no Enterprise or Millennium Falcon. I'm also not including any feats that are teleportation, so no Nightcrawler or Dr. Manhattan. And we're not including anyone who's so fast that they break the definition of speed, so no Kamen Rider Kabuto or anything. We're strictly talking pure speed feeds. We're also not doing any scaling. That old Gubs video did have a few repetitive points where certain CW characters were just scaled to each other for rankings, which I'm not blaming them for. I understand why that's not a bad idea, but this video won't be doing that. I might go over a few characters I'm aware who scale to certain things when I get to them, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, let's get to it. For the 40 fastest live action characters, or characters in live action media. Plenty of these aren't actually originated in live action, you know what I mean. Number 40, Umanosuke Izumi's Gamera from the Showa era of the Gamera series. Kicking us off is the giant flying turtle who once inhabited the lost continent of Atlantis. His origins aren't fully explained in the Showa era, but is believed to have been trapped and frozen under ice until he was freed by a nuclear detonation or something. It's not important. In the film Gamera vs. Giron, Gamera is seen flying to Terra. In this film, Terra is a planet stated to be on the reverse side of the sun to Earth, such that the two could never see each other as the sun will always be between them. So essentially the sun's between Earth and Terra, so the distance between the two is basically twice the distance between the sun and Earth. We don't have a solid frame of reference for how fast Gamera got there, but we are told there's only 5 hours before the ice freezes over this base, and Gamera arrives before that happens. Gamera had, however, already flown a good distance towards Terra, so if we were to just assume that Gamera was already halfway to Terra when this statement was made, which is a stretch, and say it took him a full 4 hours to arrive, Gamera would have been traveling at a lowballed speed of 10 million meters per second, or 3% the speed of light. The Helios satellites, the fastest man-made objects to my knowledge, were less than 10% of that. Christ. Number 39, Ray Fisher's Cyborg from the DC Extended Universe. I can't really call him iconic, but the live-action Cyborg from the DCEU, and by that I just mean Justice League and Justice League really, was fast enough to block a blast from Superman's heat vision. We know for a fact that in the DCEU, heat vision from Kryptonians moves at the speed of light, meaning he blocked a beam of pure light from a really close distance. This feat was calced by M3X on Versus Battle Wiki and would have required him to react at a speed of 23 million meters per second, about 8% the speed of light. I know people revile Versus Battle Wiki, but their calcs are fine, it's just some of their other takes that suck. Number 38, Ben Schwartz's Sonic the Hedgehog from the Paramount Sonic films. Sitting just a few spaces above Gamera is another animal, Sonic the Hedgehog, from, of course, the live-action adaptation of the classic video game series. Sonic is going to be a bit of a controversial one because I've seen his speed placed ridiculously high before, through a lot of calc stacking, which I'm not going to be doing. Now you might be thinking that Sonic moves so fast that everything is frozen, so he's light speed, but no, you can literally see within his frozen time that Dr. Eggman is clearly still moving and he's not a speedster yet. I say yet because, when he presses the button he does get that fast. We also have no real measure for how fast Supersonic is, and there's no reason he should be as fast as that one random pulse. The best feat of his is somewhat of an overplay of his time in a bottle scene that suggests that everything is moving at the speed of a snail. Calculated by Nullflower Blush on Versus Battle Wiki, this feat would reach over 35 million meters per second, or roughly 10% the speed of light. Number 37, Miyu Sawai's Sailor Moon / Princess Serenity from Pretty Guardian's Sailor Moon. Somehow the only live-action anime adaptation to make it on this list. In this series, Sailor Moon turns out to basically be the character of Princess Serenity, Princess of the Moon. And she did this. Yeah, whatever she did managed to cross the distance from the moon to the Earth, and not just that, but all the way to the other side of the Earth as well within seconds. It takes only 8 seconds for this attack or spell or whatever she does to cross Earth's diameter plus the distance from the Earth to the moon, and to do that it would have moved at 49 million meters per second, or roughly 16% the speed of light. Not that much faster than Sonic, but enough. Number 36, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman from the DC Extended Universe. Somehow the fourth version of Wonder Woman in live action, even though most people only know of her and Linda Carter, the DCEU's version of the Paragon of Compassion comes in at 36th place to stake her claim on the list. During a battle with Doomsday, Wonder Woman was seen showing enough speed to block his heat vision from an extremely close range. As we said, containing heat vision, light speed, so to pull this off, Wonder Woman would have exceeded 71 million meters per second with her reaction speed, roughly 23% the speed of light, according to a calc by M3X1 vs Battle Wiki. And keep in mind, this speed feat would apply not just to Wonder Woman, but actually basically every member of the Justice League capable of keeping up with her, including Superman and Cyborg. Number 35, Lauren Midlos Makari from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Following Wonder Woman is the supposed fastest character from the MCU, and a turtle who does stuff. I don't remember that movie very well, and I literally just watched it as of scripting this. Makari's most impressive feat is circling the world multiple times within a very short span. Calced by About in the Disappointment, this places Makari's top speed at over 100 million meters per second, or 33% the speed of light. Oh, and the Celestials and Artishem will not be here despite being fast as fuck, because they don't really have measurable feats. Number 34, the Phoenix Force in the rebooted Fox X-Men series. This one is a huge lowball, but we really don't have a lot to go off of for how to measure this entity. Within the film X-Men Dark Phoenix, we know that the Phoenix Force destroyed the Dabari homeworld. That was an unknown amount of time and an unknown distance ago, but it does prove the Phoenix Force is capable of traveling interstellar distances. The Dabari state in the film that the Phoenix Force did not go to Earth by mistake, but rather was attracted by Jean Grey's power. The power, which is suspiciously Phoenix-shaped, but somehow not the Phoenix Force, that's just a coincidence, was first seen in X-Men Apocalypse when Jean Grey killed the titular villain. This film takes place in 1983, and the Phoenix Force would arrive on Earth 9 years later in 1992 in the following movie. Assuming the Phoenix Force was in another solar system, which is basically the implication, the closest being Alpha Centauri, this would mean the Phoenix Force traveled the distance of over 4 light years in 9 years, moving at a speed of 145 million meters per second, or over 40% the speed of light. Absolutely the Phoenix Force should be faster, but there's really not much we can measure for it, so shame. Number 33, Grant Gustin's The Flash from the Arrowverse. Okay, I gotta confess, I kinda lied. This is not really the 40 fastest characters, more so the 38, because 3 entries on this list are taken up by Grant Gustin's Flash, which is very annoying. Despite having one very much faster than light speed feat, later seasons after that feat would make it a narrative point that the iconic Flash is below the speed of light, making Grant Gustin's character really annoying and hard to measure. I will include his higher feats later on the list to see where they end up, but we know he has to be slower than the speed of light narratively. His fastest feat that's below the speed of light comes from the iconic Flash Time episode. Despite some calculating this to way beyond the speed of light, the fact that Barry experiences light shifts that should not be possible if he was actually moving that fast, we know he has to be below it. Comic Books vs. the World calculated Barry's speed at 99% the speed of light, just slightly under a full 100. But we do know that Barry was capable of running around at super speed while in Flash Time, well, no, not really, but Jesse Quick could. Sod this, fuck you, he's 99% the speed of light, this feat would scale to like the other speedsters like Jay Garrick and Jesse Quick, fuck this show. Number 32, Ezra Miller's The Flash from the DC Extended Universe. Fast character of the DCEU, let's not keep him in this video too long. He stated in the Snyder Cut of Justice League to move it beyond the speed of light at his peak, so he's light speed and beyond, thank you and good night. Number 31, Elliot Page's Victor Hargreaves from Umbrella Academy. I haven't actually seen this show, so I don't know what his deal is, but hey, here's him shooting a beam at the moon. I don't know if this would scale to how fast anyone moves, but it is attacking speed. To cross that distance, literally 1 second, his beam would have been traveling at 384 million meters per second, or 1.28 times the speed of light. Number 30, Tyler Hoechlin's Superman from Superman and Lois. Confusingly not the same character as Tyler Hoechlin's Superman from Earth Prime of the Arrowverse, this beloved and frankly S-tier incarnation of Superman in live action has proven significantly more powerful than his main CW counterpart. In the finale of the second season, Superman was seen flying from the sun back to Earth within 17 seconds. The average distance from the sun to the Earth is 93 million miles, meaning Superman traveled at over 8 billion meters per second, over 29 times the speed of light. Number 29, Evan Peters' Quicksilver from the rebooted Fox X-Men timeline. The version of Quicksilver people actually like. This feat is not from the movies, but rather this fucking commercial where he outspeeds a television turning off. From the guy Gubbs himself who made the original video of this topic, this feat has been put at 39.9 times the speed of light. Yes, this feat isn't canon, but you know what, it's easier than trying to figure out any calc for the fucking mansion explosion. Number 28, Phil Morris's Martian Manhunter from Smallville. The forgotten version of the iconic green hero from DC Comics, Martian Manhunter has guns in Smallville, and that's pretty funny. Martian Manhunter was seen flying from Earth to the Sun in only 12 seconds. That might not seem too big a difference from Superman's feat in Superman and Lois, but given the distance between Earth and the Sun, a 5-second improvement means Martian Manhunter was traveling at an impressive 12 billion meters per second, or 42 times the speed of light. Now for something absolutely moronic. Number 27, Laka Cagne, aka the giant claw from the film of the same name. This is the dumbest thing on the planet. According to the film itself, Laka Cagne came from billions of millions of light years away. So, assuming this to be a lowball of 2 billion and 2 million light years away, we have a massive distance, but no time frame. We do know from promotional material, however, that the giant claw is from 17 million BC. So if we lowball the feat to say that the giant claw started flying to Earth from the moment it was born, its top speed would exceed 35 billion meters per second, or 117 times the speed of light. And this is a massive lowball. For all we know, it might have taken only 1 year to travel that distance, which would be billions of times the speed of light. All for a creature that looks like this. Number 26, Ronald McDonald. I don't actually know what actor played Ronald in this commercial, as I don't know when the commercial is, and it is a Japanese one too. But he just casually reaches for the sun within a span of 3 seconds, extending his arm at over 46 billion meters per second, roughly 166 times the speed of light. What the hell am I even supposed to say about this? Number 25, Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern. As reviled as he is, this version of Green Lantern has a genuinely very impressive feat. In the final battle with Parallax at the end of the movie, he's seen flying from the asteroid belt to the sun in about 7 seconds. It's kind of awkwardly portrayed, and it is an assumption that this is the asteroid belt, but there are way too many asteroids in this area for it to be anywhere else unless it's even further out away from the sun. Which means the feat could be even faster. To pull this off, Hal would have flown at 228 times the speed of light, and Parallax would be similarly fast. We can't reasonably calculate any speed for flying to Oa though, as Green Lanterns use portals. Number 24, Kazuya Aoyama's Zone Fighter from the Toho Showa Godzilla timeline. Godzilla's own version of Ultraman shows up for our 24th spot. Also known as Hikaru Sakimori, Zone Fighter fights to protect humanity from the Garaga after they destroyed his homeworld, Peaceland. In doing so, he came across King Ghidorah in the 6th episode of the series. In this episode, Zone Fighter was able to fly from Earth to the Garaga ship, as calculated by Apex Predator GX on vs Battle Wiki, a distance of 587 million kilometers. And Zone Fighter crossed that distance in about 6 seconds, at a speed of 97 billion meters per second, or 326 times the speed of light. Number 23, George Lopez's Mr. Electric from Shark Boy and Lava Girl. What am I doing with my life? So in one scene, Mr. Electric flies from planet Drool, which is outside of our solar system, to Earth in a relatively low span of time. Arrogant Schmuck and vs Battle Wiki calc this feat out to an impressive 402 times the speed of light. This is in Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I mean, is this dumber than the Giant Claw? Probably not, but this is up there. Number 22, Penny Ashton's Leisure from Power Rangers. Okay, so on the episode Catching Some Rays of Power Rangers Dino Charge or whatever, this random thing travels this distance, and Amelia Lonely Heart on vs Battle Wiki calculated to 148 billion meters per second, or 949 times the speed of light. Huh? Number 21, Grant Gustin's Flash, but if we use that one feat. This is the second of 3 times he'll be appearing on this list, and yeah. Comic Book vs. the World tackled this one feat wherein Barry runs in tandem with the closing of a pinosecond breach portal, and he managed to get this calc to 2,126 times the speed of light. That is a big jump from the last feat. Number 20, Hugo Weaving's Megatron from the Transformers live-action films. There's actually 2 feats in these films that could have been on here, but one of them is from Optimus Prime and I forgot to include it, so we're just looking at Megatrons. And hey, that feat was between Age of Extinction and Last Night, so even the films forget about Last Night, so fuck off. In the second film, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, Megatron travels from Earth to the Nemesis in a very short span of time. The distance though is kind of hard to gauge. While his feet looks like it goes to a moon of Saturn, there's straight up all this in the back, and that could not be here if this was even within our solar system. And supplementary material does not help either. The only things we get that aren't contradicted are that this is Char, this is a dead moon, and the distance would take a starship 14 years to arrive. I have no idea how fast a starship is meant to be. So we're going to assume this is outside of our solar system, I mean, because look at it. And as a time frame, Megatron leaves after Sam starts talking to Optimus, and he arrives before Sam gets to Clark. So if it was only a few hours and we're lowballing and say it took him, I don't know, 12 hours to get there, so half a day, Megatron would have been flying at 929 billion meters per second, or 3,102 times the speed of light. Number 19, Ryo Hardia's Space Godzilla from Toho's Heisei Godzilla era. This one requires a few assumptions. Now, Space Godzilla is given two origin stories in the film. The one we'll be using here is the Mothra one, as it gives us a smaller time frame and I want to do that. Mothra flew past a black hole, and the G-cells from Godzilla on her body were sucked in and transformed into Space Godzilla. We know that Mothra left Earth in 1993 and Space Godzilla arrived in 1995. Assuming that Mothra took one of those years to reach the black hole, and Space Godzilla was immediately born and took the whole other year to arrive, we just need a distance. The closest known black hole at the time of the film was the catchily named A0620-00, 3,300 light years away. Thus, Space Godzilla would have been travelling at 3,300 times the speed of light. Which, like, Godzilla and Destroyer would scale as well, and at least in combat speed, and Mothra, well, this is also a Mothra feat, so you could argue Mothra also deserves to share this spot. She'd have the same feat, just going the other way. Number 18, Grant Gustin's goddamn Flash. He's back at it again for his final time, this time when he's amplified by plates on the ground. Comic Book vs. the World did this calc again and got the feat of 13,512 times the speed of light. Calc you again, Flash. Number 17, Brie Larson's Captain Marvel from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Here we are with the fastest calc in the MCU that does not involve a ship or Bifrost shenanigans. At the start of Avengers Endgame, Tony states that he and Nebula are 1,000 light years from Earth and only have 1 day's worth of oxygen. Assuming Carol took that entire span of time to cross the distance to Earth, she would have been flying while carrying the Benator at 365,260 times the speed of light. Number 16, Lawrence Fishburne and Doug Jones' Silver Surfer from the Fantastic Four duology. A character known for his absurd speed. While nowhere near as fast as his comic book counterpart, this film did at least portray him as insanely quick. Silver Surfer was stated to have flown between the stars of Rigel, Altair, and Vega, and we see him go from one of the planets in these star systems to Earth in 50 seconds at the start of the movie. Assuming this was in Altair, the closest of these star systems, as a lowball, Surfer was flying in this opening sequence at over 10 million times the speed of light. Now that is a jump. Number 15, Banjo Ginga's Sacred Beast Lakia from Kosoku Sentai Turbo Ranger. The original version of Power Rangers. I have no way to accurately describe the episodes I watched, but with this. So yeah, at the end of this episode, Lakia flies from Earth into space to become a constellation. Lakia being this thing which does nothing of importance. Assuming this is the same distance as the closest constellation Centaurus, of which the closest star Proxima Centauri is within, it travelled 4.2 light years in 3 whole seconds, a flight speed of 44 million times the speed of light, for this stupid looking thing. Number 14, Terry Crews from the Old Spice commercials. So here's Terry drilling himself from Earth into presumably another solar system in like a few seconds. Yeah, he did that. That's 69 million times the speed of light. What do I even say? Number 13, Gaku Oshida's Kamen Rider Guys from Kamen Rider Zeo. Yeah, I know nothing about this guy. I haven't seen this show. But this Royal something whatever calc this feat where he blocks a light, that light being from the star Regulus over 77 light years away, and to react how he did from a light moving that distance, guys would have been reacting at 124.7 million times the speed of light. That's not slow. Number 12, Laura Vandervoort's Supergirl from Smallville. The fastest feat in Smallville, one that Clark Kent, Bart Allen, and maybe even Manhunter would scale to. Well, Bart would massively upscale, but you know. This is at least the fastest feat not from the comics. In the 8th episode of Season 8, Kara leaves Earth to find Kandor, and then comes back in 2 years. Kandor is on Krypton, stated to be 23 galaxies away from Earth. Now, the average galaxy can range from 1 to 100,000 parsecs in diameter, and the distance between galaxies is over 9 million light years or 3 million parsecs between. Taking this at face value and saying that she only traveled the distance between galaxies, and ignoring the distance she traveled within the galaxies themselves, Supergirl traveled 69 million parsecs, nice, or 255 million light years and back within 2 years. Meaning she traveled at 255 million times the speed of light, and that's lowball. Number 11, Hiroshi Nagasawa and Saburo Shinoda's Ultraman Taro from the Ultra series. The title character of the show of the same name, Ultraman Taro actually isn't too unique, but I didn't want this list to be made up of just a ton of Ultras flying from their homeworld to Earth. This is just the fastest of those feats that I know of. In the 24th episode of Ultraman Taro, he flies a stated 3 million light years within days and nights. Given the context is that the sun was blocked and riots have already begun, let's just say it took him 3 days to arrive. Doing so would have required Taro to fly at 365 million times the speed of light. That's 1 multiplier of speed for every day of the year. That's fast! We now reach the top 10, starting with number 10, Stephen Candle's Andros II from the Wonder Woman TV show. So in one episode, this guy named Andros II shows up. He says he's from 37 million light years away and has 6 days to help humanity. He doesn't seem to use up any of those days when he flies over, but assuming he took 1 entire day to get here, he'd be moving at 13 billion times the speed of light. And he probably was moving way faster than that. Fun fact, Wonder Woman just astral projects herself that same distance even faster, but astral projection doesn't count for speedier. Number 9, Jennifer Leanne's Kess from Star Trek Voyager. This one is weird. This is technically a ship feat, but it's a feat where a character propels a vessel at speeds that they should be able to propel themselves. So this is Kess. Long story short, she's a telepath, but turns out to be actually some kind of super cosmic psionic being from a race with a short life expectancy. She gets messed up with even more power and has to leave the starship Voyager, but in doing so, she uses her powers to launch the Voyager 9,500 light years in 17 seconds. Meaning she could propel the ship and likely herself at a velocity of 17 billion times the speed of light. Number 8, Kenpachiro Satsuma's Gigan from the Toho Showa Godzilla timeline. Yeah, fucking Gigan is up here. Gigan just blitzed Silver Surfer and Supergirl. Gigan did that. So Gigan in Godzilla vs. Megalon flies from the M Hunter Nebula to Earth in a very short span of time. In fact, between the Seatopians getting the message that Gigan has left to when Gigan actually shows up, it only takes him 24 seconds. So where is the nebula? Well, according to official sources, 30,000 light years away. To make that distance in that minuscule span of time, Gigan would have been flying at an excess of 39 billion times the speed of light. Number 7, Andre Deris from Halloween. Wait, what? Okay. So in the music video Skyfall from the power metal band Halloween, Andre Deris, I think it is, it's hard to tell. I cannot immediately tell his face apart from Kai Hansen anymore because I'm blind and or dumb. He flies from another galaxy to Earth and back. When he leaves Earth to what's called the Metal Galaxy apparently, he takes about 1 minute and 53 seconds to arrive with his suit. The average gap between galaxies used before will apply here, putting Andre's speed at over 2.7 trillion times the speed of light. What the fuck? Number 6, the Power Rangers from Power Rangers. Just all of them. Y'all know the Power Rangers, you either love them or you don't, and in the 27th episode of Season 2 of Mighty Morphin, they fly from Earth to the farthest galaxy, and not with Zords, but by shooting lightning out of their asses. And yes, Goldar ruins everything by saying they're the furthest galaxy away. The only distance I could find on the internet for the furthest known galaxy at the time of 1994, the radio galaxy 8C1435 plus 63, that's even catchier than the black hole, was 15 billion light years. Now the time it takes for them to get there is somewhere between morning and when lunch began at school. In America, the average start time for schools is apparently 8 AM and for lunch, 12 PM. So we'll use a time span of 4 hours, meaning they traveled 15 billion light years in 4 hours at a total speed of 32 trillion times the speed of light from shitting lightning out their asses. Okay, time for the top 5. Place your bets. Number 5, the Galaxy Marble aliens from Men in Black. The iconic ending shot of the Men in Black famously shows these aliens who play marbles with the galaxy. You might have seen this one calced before at 51 quintillion times the speed of light. However, that calculation assumes that these are universes. If we use that calculation, these aliens would actually be number 1 on the list. But these look more like galaxies to me. They don't zoom out further than one galaxy, and if this was a universe, then that's one huge galaxy in the middle of it. It seems more to me like the marble bag represents the universe, and all the galaxies of the universe are just marbles within the bag. So my good friend and tsundere little sister Rena Phantom Falcon recalced this feat using the galaxy diameter instead, and the new result came out to a painfully slow 58.9 trillion times the speed of light. Fuck! Number 4, Christopher Reeve's Superman from the Donnerverse. Well, specifically the one from the original timeline of Superman 1, 2, 3 and Quest for Peace. The iconic version of Superman in live action and the number 1 spot on that old Gubs video. This Superman has the most insane speed feat of any live action Marvel or DC character. And it's not even on screen. See, in the film Supergirl, we get this.
Has indeed embarked on a special peace-seeking mission to a galaxy scientists estimate may be several hundred trillion light years.
Yes, apparently Superman is hundreds of trillions of light years away from Earth between Superman 3 and 4, which take place 4 years apart from each other. If we lowball this feat, so that Superman literally only just came back at the start of Superman 4, and he left immediately after Superman 3, and we say he just went to and from the galaxy and did nothing while actually at the peace conference they mentioned, and assuming hundreds of trillions only means 200 trillion, then this massive lowball still means that the Christopher Reeve Superman off-screen flew at a speed of over 100 trillion times the speed of light. But even with this new feat not featured in the Gubs video, he has been dethroned by 3. And let's see who they are. Number 3, Eric Menyuk's Traveler from Star Trek The Next Generation. Kind of cheating because the Traveler is a being above space and time, so he's really beyond speed. But this is how fast he can propel something, kinda like Kess, and he can obviously do this to himself. So this is how fast the Traveler goes when he wants to move slowly. In the episode where no one has gone before, the Traveler launches the Starship Enterprise at a distance of over 1 billion light years in over 17 seconds. This is an absolutely mind-blowingly fast speed of 1 quadrillion times the speed of light. And keep in mind, while this did exhaust the Traveler to do, this is something he did with something the size of the Enterprise. For something with less mass to move, like, himself, he can do this casually whenever he wants. But as said, he is above space and time anyway, so he wasn't even trying, and he's still got on this list. But he's only number 3. Number 2, the TARDIS from Doctor Who. Before you bring up that the TARDIS is a vehicle, remember that I said it's okay if the vehicle was sentient. And believe me, I did look for other sentient vehicles like V'Ger from Star Trek, and if they had any impressive feats. V'Ger, by the way, should be on this list, but I don't think any of its feats can really be measured. Anyway, the TARDIS is alive. We learn as much in the episode The Doctor's Wife, where the TARDIS's consciousness is transferred into someone's body, and clearly, the TARDIS has its own thoughts and feelings. So how fast is the TARDIS? Well, in the final episode of the 4th season of the 2008 Doctor Who series, because there's 2 season 4s between 2 series of the show, the TARDIS is able to drag Earth from the edge of the universe back to its proper position within a time frame of only 77 seconds. The edge of the observable universe is over 40 billion light years away from Earth, so to drag Earth back into position through sheer speed alone means that the TARDIS is capable of, when not using time travel or teleportation, as it easily could like the Traveler, moving at a speed of 19 quadrillion times the speed of light. And even still, there is one faster. Can you guess who it is? Well, it is none other than Number 1, Hideyoshi Iwata's Ultraman Zero from the Ultra series. Ultraman Zero is famous for his insane speed. The son of Ultra 7 and something of a cosmic superhero, Ultraman Zero regularly flies between universes within seconds. In one instance in Revenge of Belial, Amelia Lonelyheart vs Battle Wiki was able to measure the distance he crossed in front of this universe. Yeah, that's a whole universe, as managing to reach a speed of 3.7 quintillion times the speed of light, making him insanely fast and, to my knowledge, the fastest character in live-action media. Now, I'm sure I missed out on a few characters. As I mentioned, some like V'Ger and Arishem likely should be here, but just don't have measurable feats. And there's definitely a chance that across the vast landscape of live-action media, I missed out on a few feats. Do let me know and I'll post them in a pinned comment that I'll update over time until I get bored or have too much work on my hands to keep up. This was a really fun video to research and make, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Oh, and if you're wondering, that pulse from Sonic that we see reach another galaxy in Sonic 2 would have been the number 8 spot at 23 billion times the speed of light if I counted it. Fun fact for you. And I know for a fact that Gubbs is not watching this video, but if by some cosmic miracle he does, no hard feelings. This is not a jab at your video like I'm trying to stand high and mighty like, well, this is the correct version. As I said, that video was quite old, so obviously some things would be outdated, some things obviously would have been missed, nobody's perfect, even I probably missed some. And that video just focused on Marvel and DC, so it probably just didn't consider most characters on this list. All said and done, again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I gotta take a break now, this was a lot of work, so... Bye, Anara. Have a good one.